Hey guys, this is Rocking3 bringing another live commentary for Forza 5. This is going to be a parts and tunes video for the Pontiac Trans Am in the C class. I forgot if it's B or C. Let me see what it says here. C class. And just wanted to provide these numbers because I've put this out on some races a couple times. I've done a couple lasts to first with it. It's quite a good car. I'm racing it on the Bathurst track, and to be honest, this is not its strongest suit like the top speed tracks. This is not a speed muscle car by any means. This is a good accelerating muscle car, and it will get to the 140s, maybe 150 in the straightaways, but it is not overly fast. This is not hard to drive at all. This car is made for handling. It's made for braking. It's really a pretty decent car. This is probably real equivalent to like a Subaru BRZ, but just in the muscle car form. It just handles really well. You could probably run this on the Alps tracks. You can run this on Silverstone. You can run this on quite a few tracks that are kind of in the medium range. This track I would consider to be, even though it has a lot of tight turns, and up in here it's going to be a lot longer, and you need a lot more straightaway power because there's basically 3 long straightaways on it, and then one area where you have to do a lot of turning. So this car actually does okay in this area too, but its strength is not top speed. So having said all that, I think it's a really good car. It's one of my favorite C-Class cars, and I'm calling it a muscle car, even though it's probably not considered a muscle car. We'll call it an old school V8 type car, and it does pretty well. So I was going to show you real quick that it's real easy to drive. It only has a 5-speed in it. You can definitely do some adjustments with gearing ratios if you choose to do so for whatever track. And then I've been pushing the brakes up pretty high, and you'll see that in my parts and tune part, that my brake levels are getting really high. But good accelerating class, good multiplayer car because of the acceleration. Just don't plan on crushing any leaderboard times with it on the larger tracks. So 230, almost 230 even. So not too bad at all. All right, we'll see you in the parts and tunes bin. All right, and we're back. So let's go through the parts real quick on this car. It's going to have the street engine in it, so you can see you can pretty much wrap that up to $6 grand and continue to get horsepower out of it. We do not have the aspiration change added to it for the 61 horsepower, and we left it a rear-wheel drive car. It's going to go straight to the engine. There may be a couple small parts on here, but since I made it such a handling car, it probably doesn't have too much unless I filled the PI or something with it. So far stock parts across the board. Up to the valves and the block. I won't have that at all. And I have the street flywheel just to fill in a PI. Going to have race brakes, made them fully adjustable, and this will be race all of those bars. We have the roll cage on it, and we have the sport weight reduction. Not even close. Excuse me. Alright, we're going to have the race clutch, and we have the sport transmission. See, it's only 3 PI away from there, so you might be able to slide that in if you took and added some weight if you wanted to. I had the race drive line, and I have the race differential. Wheels, let's actually go to the compound first. Sport tire compound, and this is obviously why it handles so well. If we were to do a speed, we'd probably have to lose some tires, but that's why it brakes so well and get so much traction in the turns. We have the full width in the front. We have the full width in the rear. Wheels, I'm going to take a guess that I did my normal I did not do my normal. This one's actually a little bit less. I think if we look at the wheel, yep. So 1 PI there. So if you need that race transmission, there's your PI between the rims and the flywheel and the driveline. Yeah, full rim at R20s in the front, and we have R20s in the back. Again, very stable car. It'll have the race front, back, and I think I put a hood scoop on it. I did. Looks like I used a PI there. So again, another PI that you can gain from there if you wanted to increase your transmission or something else that you would rather have. So that is the parts. Let's look at the tune. We got a standard 2929. Gearing, you can tell we can change the end drive, but we can't change anything else in between. But 3.50, good all around. Top speed is about 150. This says 153 over there, but you don't quite get to it. We have the negative 2.1 in the front, negative 1.7 in the back, and we have 0.1, 0.1 on the toes on both the front and the rear. And I had to increase the caster angle quite a bit, and we're up to 6.0. Not too uncommon with the heavier cars like that. The front roll bar is 25.16 in the front, 19.91 in the rear. Springs, we have 853.2 in the front, and in the rear we have 780.8. Again, that's just the middle of the road, pretty soft, but with all the tires and the compound upgrades, it actually rides really well. And we have it lowered down to 5.2, both front and rear. Rebound stiffness, 9.0 and 7.0, kind of a standard setting for me. Decreased the bump stiffness a little bit in the rear and in the front. That helped with traction. You don't lose the back end at all with that. Full aero, probably doesn't need that much aero, but I made this an extreme handling car for the smaller tracks. So if you go to more of a speed track, you might want to take those off as well. Let's see what the speed difference is if we take that completely off. In C-Class, I don't usually worry too much about the... So 160, so you can see we gain almost 6 miles per hour there. This is my standard brake balance, especially on a muscle car, 53 and 140. I've gone as high as 200%, but I'm using the brakes a lot differently than I ever have before. And we have almost a 50-10, but it's 49-10 acceleration and deceleration. All right, that's it. Again, this car is not a top speed muscle car. I can build a speed one if anybody wants to see it, but this is a really easy to drive, keep you out of trouble, decent multiplayer on a small to medium track when you don't want to use a smaller car, you know, when it's something that handles really, really well. So it does pretty good. Let's see what those numbers are real quick. The handling numbers are 5.1, so it's pretty good. And acceleration is still pretty good at the 7.4 for a C-Class car. So that's why it's good for multiplayer, it's that acceleration. All right, thanks a lot for watching, guys. Hope that's helpful, and we'll catch you in the next video. Later.